guys, so look, we spent a long time on multiplicative comparisons and we worked super hard, and I'm obviously super proud of the test scores. You guys worked so hard, did really well. But I'm really happy to put multiplicative comparisons in the rear view. We are moving on. Now, it's not the last time we're going to see it. I'm sure you'll see it on some Fan Fives down the road and some EOG Fridays, but we get to finally today move on and start our new unit on area and perimeter. Now, luckily for you, you guys have already seen both of these actually in your Fantastic Five. Started with perimeter last week. You have it in there again this week, but we also introduced area this week as well. So if you've been watching those Fan 5 videos, you've already seen both of these, which is great. The things that you see on my presentation are going to be a little bit different than what we show. I'll try to link any videos that I don't play in this on my announcement because it just won't work if I play them on here. But we're going to kind of ease into area and perimeter today because I know you guys learned about these virtually last year. So it may not have stuck, and I guess you're technically doing it virtually right now as well, which is not great, but we'll still be doing it next week. So we're going to ease into it today with a little bit of both of those, and we'll turn up the heat as we get a little bit closer to the end of the week. So kind of our introduction, the thing that makes you think is, I've got this question for you. It says, Kim's framing one of Kyle's drawings, which is right here. What does she need to know to find out how much material she needs to buy? So guys, you can think about this really a couple different ways. If you just got a picture that looks like this and your mom said, hey, I need you to go buy a frame at Walmart for me. You got to know what size frame you're going to buy that's going to fit. You got to make sure that it's wide enough. You got to make sure that it's long enough. So you need to know the length and the width to be able to figure out how much of that frame you're going to need to go around the outside. Now, I say outside specifically because one thing we're going to talk about is what exactly does perimeter mean? And it's exactly that. It's the distance around the outside of an object. So outside is going to be a major keyword that you have for perimeter. And I'm going to attach some keywords, or I'm going to send you some keywords that you can be looking for. But anytime we're talking about perimeter, we know we're measuring around the outside of an object. And if I want to find the perimeter, all I'm doing is adding. If I've got an 8 and an 8, a 3 and a 3, I'm just adding all the way around to figure out what my perimeter is. So we're going to look at a bunch of different examples. I might have you pause, solve, press play to see if your answer matches. And honestly, you can do that on any question. As soon as I change the slide, if you want to pause it, do the math, see if you get what I get. That's awesome. I think it's a good way to practice. The great thing is area and perimeter is actually calculator active. So if you have your calculator, you're welcome to use it. Even though with numbers like this, I don't think it's something that you necessarily need. But if you get the chance to use it, I would maybe just do the math on paper and then use my calculator to solve. So right here, I think the biggest mistake people make is when they are finding the perimeter and they've got a picture like this, they'll do 12 plus 4, they'll get 16 and they'll stop. Because perimeter's got to go all the way around the outside. So when I think about perimeter, for me, I just always think about a fence. My backyard has a fence. We have that fence for a reason. We want Albert to be able to go outside in the backyard, and we want him to be able to stay and be safe within that yard. We don't want him to go run away. So if you were only to do 12 plus 4, that doesn't give me the perimeter because it doesn't go all the way around. Albert could run out this side. He could run out that side. So if you remember from Fantastic Five, first thing I would do if I have this picture is I would label every side, and you know that opposites are equal. 12 at the top, I got 12 at the bottom, 4 on the right, I got 4 on the left. And then you just got to do side plus side plus side plus side. It doesn't matter what order you do it in. I prefer to do like numbers. So like I'd go 12 plus 12, and I always cross them out as I go so I don't make any mistakes. That would give me 24. Then I'd go 4 plus 4. And I'd get 8. Then I would just make sure I added those two numbers together, and my perimeter would be 32 feet. If I was saying, hey, how much fencing do I need? If this was my backyard, you would need 32 feet of fencing to go all the way around the outside. So nothing really crazy there. As long as you label your opposite sides and you know for perimeter you're just adding all the way around, we'll knock that out. Now the numbers are going to get bigger, but it's still just addition. Now this one, kind of funky, because I only see one side. Now if I see that one side, I can fill in the other side. Opposite sides are equal. So if I got 1 inch on the right, I got 1 inch on the left. What do you notice about that shape? Think about Fantastic Five. Guys, that's a square. So if that's a square, that means all 4 sides are equal. So if I got a 1 on the right side, I've got a 1 everywhere. And if I want to find out the perimeter of that square, I would go 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Easy as that, y'all. That one would be 4 inches. Let's keep it moving. Let's look at a couple of these. Again, you can be pausing and solving if you want. If you want to just watch a couple more before you pause and solve, do that. Let's just look at number 1 at the top. First thing I'm doing, filling in my opposite sides. 22 at the bottom, 22 at the top, 10 on the right, 10 on the left. All I got to do is add all the way around the outside. I like numbers. I would do 22 plus 22, and I'd get 44. Then I would do 10 plus 10, which I know is 20. If I added those two together, the perimeter of that rectangle would be 64 inches. And then looking at the bottom shape, we've got 6 feet on the left, which means I've got 6 feet on the right. If you notice that shape is a square, you know all 4 sides are equal. So that means I'll put 6 everywhere. And I just got to go all the way around. Now for a square, you don't have to do 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. If it's a square, you can do 6 times 4, because really that's repeated addition. Either way you do it, the perimeter of that square would be 24 feet. Nothing crazy. As long as you know what perimeter means, you ought to be able to knock that one out every time. This is where if I were you, I would pause, solve, and then press play, see if your answer is matched. So for question number 1, again, I've only been given one side, but it doesn't matter because I know that shape is a square. It's got 4 equal sides. If it's given me 4 inches once, I can go ahead and put 4 times. Again, to find that perimeter, I can do 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, or repeated addition, I can do 4 times 4 instead. My perimeter for number 1 would be 16 inches. And then looking over here for number 2, this is clearly not a square, it's a rectangle. Fill in your opposite sides, 35 on the right, 35 on the left, 3 at the top, 3 at the bottom. And then I just got to add all the way around. Start with my like numbers. I'll do 35 plus 35. Let's find some room. Let me get rid of some stuff. All right, 35 plus 35. Cross them out. 5 plus 5 is 10. 0 stays, 1 goes. 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. And then I would add 3 plus 3, which I know is 6. Add those two together. Number 2, my perimeter should have been 76 inches. And last but not least, number 3, fill in my opposite sides and just add all the way around the outside. 10 plus 10 gives me 20. 5 plus 5 gives me 10. All the way around the outside of that rectangle would be 30 inches. So there you see, pretty simple problem solving when it comes to finding the perimeter. The biggest difference here is now when you throw in and you mix them up, finding the perimeter, finding the area, you got to read first of all, but then you got to know how to find both. So with area, it's a little bit different, and sometimes it'll be easier. Sometimes you'll get pictures that look like this. Now, if you remember from Fan 5, we said the perimeter is the outside, the area is the inside. If you ever get a picture like this, really all you got to do is count. You can physically take your finger or take your pencil and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, remember when we're finding the area, we measure that in square units. So it's not just 12 units. The area would be 12 square units. Now, you can always check that when you've got a picture like this, and you could still label the length and the width. If I look at the top of this picture, there's 1, 2, 3 squares. That means that it is 3 units wide, if I can get my thing. And it is 1, 2, 3, 4 units long. Now to find the area, which we said in Fan 5, 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row now, you always do length times width. If I want to find the area, I do length times width. I could have done 3 times 4, and it still would have matched the same answer that I got from just counting. Same thing for 2. If you wanted to go ahead and count them all, you could. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 square units. Or you could find the length, find the width. There's 4 squares across that top, which means it's 4 units wide. And there are 6 squares to the right, which means it's 6 units long. To find area, I could do length times width, 6 times 4. That would still match my 24 square units. Now, if you're looking at the bottom shape, it's a little bit different. We're actually going to spend a whole 2 days finding the area of shapes like this, because it's not hard when you've got the boxes in the middle that you can count. But when you get that shape and you don't have those boxes in the middle, that's when it becomes more difficult. That we'll worry about next week, but we can still find the area of this one right now. We call this a rectilinear figure. So you'll hear that again soon. But again, I can just count all these up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh my gosh, my computer's going to die. Don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die. Don't die, don't die. Don't die. Oh my gosh. Yes. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41 square units. That gets a lot harder when you don't have those squares to count. You'll see that a little bit down the road. So again, perimeter, outside, area, inside, area is always equal to length times width. Let's test it out. Here you have a square. Well, if I know it's a square, I know it's got 4 equal sides. I know I can go ahead and put a 7 on all of those. And if I'm finding the area, length times width, it's 7 centimeters long, it's 7 centimeters wide. I've got to multiply those two. And if I know my facts, 7 times 7, that area would be 49 square centimeters. All right, let's get this out of the way. Let's look at another one. Here I've got another square. Square's got 4 equal sides. If I've got 10 on the right, I've got 10 everywhere. You're gonna get sick of hearing me say this. It's gonna be like box method almost. Area is equal to length times width. I would do 10 times 10. That area would be 100 square, centimeters. Now, you're not only going to be finding the area of squares, we're going to toss some quadrilaterals in here like a rectangle, which you have. It says to find the area of this figure. Area, again, is equal to length times width. I've got the length. I've got the width. 11 times 3. That area would be 33 square feet. And look at another one right below that. I've got another rectangle. It wants to know the area. I know I find the area by doing length times width. I've got the width, I've got the length. 12 times 4 would give me 48 square feet. This stuff is not hard if you know your facts, which hopefully we are working towards that every single day. All right, so I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I want you to, well, we'll do 1 and 2 real quick. All right, so we've got a rectangle, 15 centimeters long, 7 centimeters wide. If I want to know the area, I'm going to do length times width, which I have 15 here and 7 here. Should you know 15 times 7 off the top of your head? No, absolutely not. Have we looked at ways before of how to do this? Yes, we have. We have done this 2-digit times 1 digit before. We've actually done bigger numbers than that, right? So I can go ahead and stack them and I can multiply. 7 times 5, 35. 5 stays, 3 goes. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 3 is 10. That area would be 105 square centimeters. Now, again, this is calculator active. If you wanted to plug in 15 times 7, you could. I'd rather you do a little bit of work. You can always check it with your calculator. All right, same deal for this square. I got to find the area. I know it's a square, so I know every side's equal to 5. I know I've got to do length times width to find the area. And 5 times 5 would give me an area of 25 square centimeters. For this last one, here's what I want you to do. And if you paid attention about 2 minutes ago, you should have no problem on this one. I want you to find, this will be your last question that you do before your independent practice, we'll call it. I want you to look at this rectangle, and I want you to give me the area and the perimeter. Area and the perimeter. So press play, solve that, and when you got it, come on back. All right. So there are no sides listed on here, but if you watch the very beginning of this when we started talking area, you can count those boxes across the top to see how long it is. I could have gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units long, and 1, 2, 8 units, or I'm sorry, 2 units wide. Now I'm going to start with area just because that's what we've talked about. I know to find area, I've got to do length times width. So I've got to do 8 times 2. That area would be 16 square units. And if I wanted to find the perimeter, I got to measure all the way around these shapes. So if I got an 8 at the top, I've got an 8 at the bottom. If I've got a 2 on the right, I've got a 2 on the left. And all I got to do is my addition. First thing we did here, take my like numbers, 8 plus 8, I'd get 16. Then I would take 2 plus 2, I'd get 4. Add those up, and I would get a perimeter of 20 units, not square units. So with perimeter, guys, you're just adding all the way around. With area, you're doing length times width. Right underneath this video, you have a area and perimeter assignment where it's 10 questions. Sometimes it's going to ask for the area, sometimes it's going to ask for the perimeter. You're going to miss it if you don't read because you're going to have answer choices that would be the perimeter, even though it's asking for the area. You've got to read those questions carefully. If you have questions on any of this, let me know because tomorrow we're going to start looking at word problems with these where you really got to be able to figure out how to solve for area or perimeter depending on what it's asking for. So if you're confused, reach out so I can help you. I don't want you to get confused when we're looking at tomorrow. Good luck on that sheet. Read carefully. Thanks, guys.